Hello, my fellow supports. HotRod08 here, and welcome to Support Patch Notes 8.19. Where I'll be going over the changes that affect support champions for each patch during Season 8, as well as providing you a place to discuss the changes below. Now, before we get into the video, just to give you the heads up, this week's support game review entries are now open. If you'd like to submit one of your games to possibly be reviewed this coming up Monday, click the link at the top right corner for all the information you will need. Now let's begin. Kicking off these patch notes, first champion we're going to be talking about is coming to Janna, who is receiving a slight buff to her passive, Tailwind. Now what they're doing is they're changing the bonus movement speed conversion to damage ratios from 15 to 25 to 35% at levels 1, 7, and 13 respectively, to 25 to 35% at levels 1 and 10. Now this is going to be mainly a buff to Janna's laning phase. Now, instead of starting off the game with only a 15% damage conversion ratio, it's going to be now 25% whenever you're getting that extra bonus movement speed. And that's going to add some extra damage to both her auto attacks and her W ability. Both of them do get the ratios from her Tailwind. So with that extra damage from your auto attacks and your W poking down enemy champions, you're going to be able to be just a little bit more aggressive in the laning phase, as well as convert that aggression to kills more often, just because you're able to get that little bit extra damage off. So as long as you are being aggressive in the laning phase, this is going to be a pretty decent buff to Janna. Next champion change is coming to Thresh, who is receiving a nice buff to his Q, his Death Sentence. Now what they're doing is they're lowering the mana cost at all ranks from 80 mana to 60 mana, and they're lowering the cooldown from 20 to 12 seconds to 16 to 12 seconds. Now how this is going to be better for Thresh is obviously with that lower mana cost, he's going to be able to throw out his Qs more often in the laning phase to be able to get those hooks, as well as the cooldown is going to be lower initially at rank 1, so early on in the game Thresh is going to be able to look for more of those all-in opportunities with his Death Sentence and be able to snowball the game easier with that. And along with these changes, Thresh is no longer going to really have a main reason or to max out his Q first. They still can if a Thresh player wants to, but I think it's going to be a lot more effective now with these changes in order to actually max out your E first, just because you're going to be able to have that Death Sentence up faster now anyways, and with your Flay upgrade all the way, you're going to be able to have some extra damage output between your Flay and your auto attacks based off of it. So in the early game, it's definitely going to be a really nice buff to Thresh's laning phase. Moving down the list is Pyke, who is receiving a nice buff to his ultimate, his Death from Below. Now they're changing the base damage from his levels from 200 to 605 damage to 250 to 605 damage. Now, if you look at each individual number, you're going to figure out that levels 11 through 18 are unchanged. But starting off at level 6, you're going to actually have 50 extra base damage on your execute ability, and then it'll taper off down to what was the last patch once you hit level 11. But this is a really, really good buff to his ultimate, just because Pyke is supposed to be an early game champion in the first place. He's supposed to snowball the game, and early on in the game his ultimate is a little bit hard to actually hit, just because it has low numbers at the beginning and it's a hard ultimate to hit in the first place. But with that extra 50 damage from level 6 and having that extra damage all the way up until you're level 11, it's going to be a lot easier in order to get your ultimate resets off your ultimate. And every time you do get that extra reset, you're going to be getting extra gold for your team, and it's going to be easier to get that extra gold for your team and those kills. So this is going to be a really, really good buff for Pyke in order to snowball the game better than he has already been able to in the last patches. And our last champion change that's coming to this patch is going to Tahm Kench, who is receiving a nerf to his base health, and he is getting a slight buff to his health growth per level, but it's overall going to be still a nerf. His base health is getting lowered from 610 to 540, and then his health growth per level is getting increased from 95 to 102, but with that 7 extra health per level, he's going to have more health as the game gets later on, but it's going to be a nerf until Tahm Kench is up to level 11. Before that, when a lot of that laning phase and the beginning of the middle game is going on, so With that lower health, especially at level 1 through like level 3, he's going to be more susceptible to getting killed, as well as he's received a lot of nerfs recently in Season 8 in general, so all of these nerfs adding up is really going to put Tahm Kench in a pretty bad spot. And quick note here, they did fix a bug to his W, his Devour. It says, allies Tahm Kench has devoured will no longer sometimes be targetable when first spawned. Didn't know that was a bug, but that is also another fix they did to Tahm Kench this patch. Going through the rest of the patch notes, the only other change that's happening this patch that is going to affect support champions is coming to the item Liandry's Torment. Now it's receiving a nice buff to its Torment ability, so it is going to have its non-impaired percent damage increase from 1% to 1.5%, and the impaired percentage damage it does is going to be increased from 2% to 2.5%. Now its ability power is getting lowered from 80 to 75, but with the percentage damage getting increased by 0.5% per second on both the non-impaired targets and the impaired targets, it's going to be a really nice item to pick up when you're facing against champions that have a lot of health and you need to burn them down. Liandry's Torment is going to be just that much more effective than it has been in the past. And that's it for the support patch notes for patch 8.19. What did you think of the changes? Did you enjoy the changes that are coming to the champions and Liandry's Torment this patch? Comment down in the comment section below. I would love to hear your opinions. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like, and if you're new here, subscribe. Hit that bell for notifications and get updated on all things support related. Streams are on YouTube on Mondays and Thursdays, 7 p.m. to 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and on Twitch randomly. So if you want to learn how to play support better from a Diamond player and have your questions answered live, feel free to join the stream community. If you're enjoying my content and want to consider supporting the channel, head over to my Patreon. There you can enjoy perks such as early releases of some of my videos, having me look at your op.gg and giving you suggestions, and having your name shout out at the end of my videos like these lovely people here who are already contributing to the channel. Rather than that, you have a great day today. Thanks much.